All right, guys, so in this video, I'm going to talk you through exactly how to build an aesthetic physique, peak mental performance, so you look sharp, you feel sharp, and you operate at your highest standard each and every day. The best part of this is you do not need to live like a bodybuilder. You don't need to eat out of Tupperware. You don't need to spend 2 hours a day in the gym, and you definitely don't need to sacrifice your social life. I've been on both extremes. I've done the bodybuilding approach where I've done a photo shoot, I've went all in to the extremes where my physique looked fucking nuts. It looked insane, but mentally I just felt dead. My energy was absolutely zapped all day, every day. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd literally be looking forward to going to sleep again at the night just to recover. And I've been on the other side where I've done the ketogenic side of things. For the first month, unbelievable, cognitive function, fantastic, energy, very consistent. But then I noticed my physique started to take a massive hit. I was very flat, I was depleted, and just ended up looking like a string bean at the end of the day, which is not what we want. We want to have an aesthetic physique, peak mental performance, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk you through here today. Because I realized that the system that needs to be taken to get both at the exact same time, you need to be very precise with a couple of key things, which I'm going to talk you through, okay? But essentially what I've done is I've created a 4-step framework. It's the peak, it's the prime, where you lay the foundations, the peak, where you become physically and mentally unrecognizable, reverse, where you install the systems so you can actually maintain for life, and total control, where you compound growth, physically, mentally, and professionally, each and every day. You're getting that 1% better. What I want to break down for you guys is I'm going to break down the priming phase, okay? So you can actually, after this video, you have your notepad, your pen out, you're taking notes down and you understand, okay, this is essentially what I need to implement as of today to get me moving to where I want to be. Okay, so we're going to start off with the prime phase. And we're going to touch on your nutrition. With your nutrition, obviously you need to be setting up your macros. That's the most important thing. Your protein, your carbs, and your fats. They need to be dialed in, okay? I'm not going to run you through that. If you want me to do another video on that, I can do, but it's pretty straightforward. Just get your macros dialed in. But then once you have your macros for your total daily calories, you then need to time your nutrition. Okay, so your meal timing is very important, because what we don't want is we don't want to have these high carbohydrates meals with our processed sugars, processed carbs, and we get this massive spike from our blood sugars and then we get this massive crash. That's essentially what majority of the time where your brain fog is coming from. Obviously your sleep, your nutrition, your sleep, your water intake all play a massive part, but 9 times out of 10, what I've noticed with the guys that I work with is they come to me and their nutrient timing is way off. They're trying to sit down and focus on some deep work, creative work, recording, whatever it might be, but they're just after smashing a massive bowl of oats or a huge thing of rice or some Cocoa Pops. And they're wondering why they can't focus, why they can't concentrate for a sustained period of time. It's because your blood sugars are spiking, crashing, and then that's giving you that brain fog. So what we essentially want to do is we want to time our nutrients. Carbohydrates in and around training to help drive performance and to help with recovery. High protein, moderate fats, and a little bit of moderate carbs in and around your deeper work blocks, okay? This is going to make sure that you're getting the best out of your training, but you're also staying mentally sharp for work, so you can scale your business, you can grow, you can do what needs to be done that's going to move you forward, okay? A lot of the guys that I work with are mainly 6-figure entrepreneurs looking to scale to that 7 figures. So making sure that they're mentally on point and their meals are timed correctly in and around their days to allow for them to be physically sharp, but also to make sure that their performing and recovery is in a high position. This is the key, your meal timings. Managing your blood sugars and then making sure that your water intake is consistent. I'd say, depending obviously on person, but for the majority of people, at least 3 to 4 liters of water minimum, depending on hot climates, etc. But that's a good baseline minimum for you to start off at. So once you combine all of these together, your macros is on point, your meal timing, you're managing your blood sugars, you're consistently drinking enough water, you're going to have consistent energy. You're going to have high level of performance and recovery, and your cognitive performance is going to be very sharp consistently. You're going to have sustained energy. Okay? Once we come down to your training, what do we want to do? We want to make sure, obviously, that we're building an aesthetic physique, that we're actually getting energy from the workouts and we're not smashing ourselves in the gym, that we're coming out feeling fatigued and no energy. And we also want to focus on our fitness levels and longevity. How do we do that? We need to manage our manage our volume inside in the gym. So what I see a lot of the time happen is you go in, you do a lot of heavy compound movements like your bench press, your squats, and you're doing like 4 or 5 sets, 10 plus reps. What happens? You're smashing your central nervous system. Your recovery takes a massive hit, and you can come out of the gym actually feeling ready for bed. And that's what happened to me for years. I go into the gym, I'd spend 2 hours, we lifting massive heavy weights. And although it did serve me in that period of time in terms of a muscle building standpoint, I'd come home and I was wiped out. I'd come home, I'd have my Cocoa Pops, I'd have my oats, and I'd be finished. I'd be lying to the bed and I'd be wondering why I couldn't actually focus on my work and what was actually important. It was because I was overtraining, I just wasn't managing my volume. So quick little tip, what I'd recommend is like, if you're bigger compound movements, just do 2 sets. Do a top set and a back off set. Okay, obviously warm up, but your top set, let's say you're doing 100 kgs, bench press. Then on your back off set, you might want to drop the weight down by about 20%, I found to be the sweet spot. And then from there, you do a higher rep range, okay? This is going to allow for you to have enough volume and have enough stimulus on the muscle to actually grow, but not to the point where you're tanking yourself and you're fatigued and rode off for the rest of the day. Your intensity, we want to be in the gym training hard, of course, but not too much volume. We want to have a structured training plan that we're following, that we're not going in doing random exercises. We're following an exact plan for us to develop our physiques, and we're progressing that on a weekly basis. If you're going in and lifting random weights, random exercises on a weekly basis, don't expect to build a physique. And then cardio. I'd say at least 2 to 3 cardio sessions, about 20 minutes. If you're tight for time, you can do more like interval training, short intensity. But from a longevity standpoint, from a cardiovascular health standpoint, definitely get some cardio in as well. And then with the recovery side of things, okay, your diet can be 100% bang on. Your training can be absolutely on point. But if we're not recovering, if we're not giving our body that time, you're not going to get the results that you want with your physique or mentally. Okay, you know, if you have a bad night's sleep, if you sleep under 6 hours, you wake up. Personally, for me, if I'm under 6 hours, not good. But when you wake up and you're just like mentally a little bit slower, your digestion isn't great, and that can kind of have that knock-on effect onto the other areas of your life. What we need to do is we need to prioritize our sleep. 7 to 9 hours minimum. You need to make sure, obviously, your training and nutrition are dialed in. That's going to impact your recovery. Your room, when you actually go to sleep, we want to make sure that the room is dark, that the temperature is about 19 degrees is the sweet spot. You get that much deeper sleep and good quality sleep once the temperature is on point, once the room is dark. And then obviously just make sure that you're not consuming food too close to bed. And just a little bonus tip, to actually make sure you get out, once you get up first thing in the morning, try to get some daylight exposure within that first half an hour, because that's actually going to massively help your circadian rhythm, which is your body's natural body clock. And once you get bright lights early in the morning, when you get natural light and you get some daylight exposure, that'll massively help when it comes to actually sleeping in the evening. And for me, I noticed this when I was in Dubai. I'd get up bright and early. It was dark and early. I'd get up, I'd go for my walk, I'd come home, I'd work, I'd go to the gym, I'd come back, do more work, and then I'd get more steps in the evening. I was getting no sunlight. And I noticed, I was like, my energy's low, inconsistent. I was like, what's going on? Everything else was on point. And I realized it was because I wasn't getting any sunlight whatsoever. So then I made a conscious effort of getting it first thing in the morning, midday, and within days, I noticed the benefits of it. So do not neglect getting your daylight from a recovery standpoint, from an energy standpoint as well. In your daily blueprint, this is what ties everything in together, okay? So you have your fitness blueprint, you have your business blueprint, and you have your personal blueprint. With your fitness blueprint, this is what I just spoke about here. You schedule these into your calendar. You make sure that you show up each and every single day. You tick the boxes. You do that, it becomes clockwork. You're moving forward. You're physically looking better. You're mentally feeling better. Your energy is improving on a daily basis once you tick your fitness blueprint. Your business blueprint. What are the needle movers for your business? Where do we schedule them in? Because we can get up, and I've done it in the past myself. You wake up and you're 16 hours all day, every day in the computer. End of the week, you're like, what the hell have I even done? I can honestly get more done now in 3 hours than I used to in a week because I just scheduled my calendar correctly. What are the needle movers? I wake up in the morning, I have my business growth, I have my client fulfillment in the evening, systems and scaling. They're the three things that really focus for my business. Everyone's different depending on the service that you do provide. And then you have your personal blueprint. Your personal blueprint will be like family time, relationships, date nights, meeting your parents, whatever it is. You need to schedule these things in as well, because what happens? You can come to the end of the week, a month goes by, shit, I haven't even talked to my parents all month because I've been so fucking busy. Whereas realistically, you've just been busy doing bullshit. So you need to make sure that you schedule all these things in and get very, very clear on them. Put them into your calendar. Manage your cognitive load. Structure your days. And I promise you, if you do this and you tick your blueprint off every single day, it might be a little bit difficult at the start because it's all new to you and scheduling your days and planning things. But within the first week, once you tick it off, you're going to feel so productive. You're going to realize that you haven't been operating at the standard that you know you should be operating at, and you're going to end up getting more done in a week than you would normally in a month. Okay? So just tie all of this stuff in together, guys. And what I always say is, well, let me just get up another, let me get this. Like with this as well, I always say this is the key. You know, people are always like, oh, is diet the most important thing? Is your training the most important thing? There's no most important thing. I'm going to put down your sleep here. I'm going to put down nutrition here, training here, your daily blueprint here. What else do we have? Your recovery. Okay? All of this ties in. If your sleep is off, that can then affect your adherence to your diet because your hormones are all out of whack. And then what happens? You don't eat correctly, your hormones are out of whack. You maybe skip on the training or you go in your subpar with your training. Then you're just so fatigued and tired and energy and your hormones are all out. You don't end up hitting your daily blueprint with your physique, with your business, with your personal goals. And then it affects your recovery. And it just has this, and then you're just chasing your tail. So everything really is interconnected and you need to prioritize everything just as much as the next thing. Okay, never think I'm just going to train really hard. You can't out-train a bad diet. So the point that I want you to understand is everything is just as important. You need to tie everything in together. And that's how you literally operate at the highest standard. You become a high level operator. Let's go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, subscribe,